telling me right now you don't have insurance? Liability insurance? Do you have liability insurance?
I'm not the authority. It's recreation.
It's recreational,
Yeah.
sorry.
It's
I'm
recreation.
asking, do you have liability insurance?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not for if we open it up to a,
Well, you better do something, because when I left the house today to come down, someone had pulled their car around
Fishing.
fishing.
Yeah, I know.
Lisa, how are they getting in there?
The front gate is wide open, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay.
365
All right,
days.
let's,
So you need to take care of it.
okay, let's move on in there. Old business, we have discussed the citizen library donation. And I think that, personally, what's happened there, I'm kind of upset with the library in respects to that. So I'd make a motion, we donated always $5,000 to them, but we don't have a representative now. That's no longer. So I know a lot of children use it, and it is good, and I make a motion to donate $2,000 for the library purposes. Do you have any discussion on this?
I'm going to second it. My discussion on this item is this. This Board of Supervisors is committed to the Citizens Library. Unlike some other groups, such as the Trinity School District, which has not donated. We were told that unless we give $10,000, we had no representation. We considered it basically blackmail. Every member of this board considered it that way. They dictated. And we agreed to give them $5,000. Then they sent us a letter, which was even worse, and I'm not even going to go through it. So I think the Board of Supervisors is committed to the library, but we aren't committed to the politics that is going on up there right now. It has to end. So we will give them the $2,500 or $2,000, and they will need to get their act together. And we aren't going to walk away from the library. But we expect them to end their politics.
What's the money for?
Do I have
Excuse me.
I have a motion already made. Do I hear a second? Second.
What's the money do?
Okay. He's second. Bob seconded. I made a motion.
What's the money do?
Motion passes. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is the amended Township Manager Employment Agreement. Jerry, you wanted to?
Yeah. Mr. Sabat raised some questions concerning the employment agreement that we did back in January. The points that he made were well made, and as a result, I discussed this with Mrs. Ward, and she agreed to amend the employment agreement that was signed back in January. The three items that we've covered in this amended employment agreement, each of you should have a copy of it, is a better explanation of the term of the agreement. It's for 2 years. It beginning January of 2018, ends December 31, 2019. There is not an automatic extension as the original agreement indicated, but any extension of the agreement will be decided by the sitting Board of Supervisors at their 2020 reorganization meeting, provided the sitting Township Manager gives notice on or before November 1 of 2019, which would be about 30 days or so before that reorganization meeting, that she doesn't desire to be considered for the position. And the board at that time will determine the length of the term. So it's not being mandated that the extension, if there is one, is for automatic 2 years. That's determined by the 2020 Board of Supervisors. The second is that we modified the powers of the Township Manager to discipline Township employees. Although she will continue to oversee Township employees, any recommendation for discipline is nothing more than a recommendation. The Board of Supervisors has the final say. And then lastly, the Township reserves the right to designate the Township Manager as the zoning officer or assistant zoning officer. This decision, once again, is the Board of Supervisors' decision. That agreement basically said that when she was installed as Township Manager, she also became zoning officer. This agreement, as modified, backs off of that until you decide otherwise. Those are the three issues that were raised that I've dealt with in the amended employment agreement. And as I said, I reviewed this with Mrs. Ward. She was okay with it, so you can vote to amend the employment agreement. And in all other respects, the underlying agreement stays in place.
Stays in place.
But those three issues have been resolved or discussed in this amended agreement.
Do I have a motion to accept the amended township management employment agreement?
I'll second it with this comment. I'm voting on the amendment, which I requested.
Great.
With the issue of the township manager has been debated, and that is done. So I want the minutes to reflect that I'm not voting on that, I'm voting on an amended
Amendment
agreement.
agreement. Okay. Motion carries. All in favor? Let's have a vote.
Mr. Sabat?
Yes.
Mr. Junko?
Yes.
Mr. Passalacqua?
Okay. Down to new business, Bellmead property, I think you were talking about this, Gary.
Out of nowhere, I received a call from an attorney at Buchanan Ingersoll who represents the ownership group of the Bellmead property. They are a 501c6 or 7 nonprofit corporation. Therefore, they are exempt from paying any kind of taxes, real estate taxes. That's an exempt property. However, there must be something either in the state or federal revenue regulations that indicate if a portion of what a resident is paying is used for real estate taxes, the residents are entitled to a credit. I think it's a federal credit of up to $1,500 a year. And so for those individuals living on a fixed income, that's a very attractive and significant credit. So Bellmead, in order to make that available to their residents, has said they would propose an agreement in lieu of taxes. And they would be paying that, but it would be considered by the federal and state authorities as a real estate tax, thereby entitling their residents to this credit. So they're offering $5,000 a year for over a 10-year period, payable in August of each year, and designating it as a payment in lieu of taxes. Now, we know that real estate taxes go to the public service that the townships provide, fire, police, protection, that sort of thing. So that's why it's designated as a payment in lieu of taxes, but it's going into the general fund, and that, in effect, will qualify their residents for the credit that they'd like to give for them. So, I mean, it's a gift to the township. The only changes I made to the agreement was that in the event they ever turned into a profit organization, that the new entity would not get the benefit of that. They would then come in and property would be assessed and they would pay the regular tax rate. And that they couldn't sell this property to either a nonprofit and for sure to a profit organization without, number one, the consent of the supervisors that this transfer, and it definitely becomes null and void if they ever turn that real estate holding over to a profit organization. I mean, it's obviously very attractive. You get $1 million piece of property for a $5,000 tax, well, sure. Well, that's the one thing that I disagreed with, and he has removed that from his agreement. So it's not a negotiating item, and that's the reason it's being offered. So it's additional $5,000 to the township revenues each year.
So we need to make a motion.
Motion to enter into that agreement.
I make them, go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
Enter that agreement on Bellmead property. I'll second it. Second. All in favor? Let's take a vote on it, please.
Mr. Junko?
Yes.
Mr. Passalacqua?
Yes.
Mr. Sabat?
Yes.
Okay. Next one item is negotiations for road crew contract. I have a motion to open up negotiations for the road crew contract. I'll make a motion. Make a motion.
And I'll second the road crew contract is up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So we need to get negotiations. I guess that goes.
Yeah, it's got to be.
You'll have it done by next month.
Think so, think so.
It'll be easier than a police.
Okay, I guess we want a motion on these Kennywood tickets.
No, wait.
Huh?
Mr. Junko?
Yes.
Mr. Passalacqua? Mr. Savick?
Yes.
I think that's what we did. I'm sorry.
The Kennywood tickets, I listened carefully to what Mrs. Eads in all her capacities had to say. The reason I still want to do this is because there's a lot of residents in the township who cannot afford $26. If you're talking 4 people, 4 kids, you're talking over $100. The Board of Supervisors committed to kids in this township, and that's why we feel strongly about the library, but we also feel that, we're going to put this money elsewhere. By doing it this way, Julianne and I did the math, we do up to $3,000, and we will be charging our township residents $12, and that is much more affordable. And so I'm going to make a motion, we go ahead and do that.
Is this gonna be, like, at least be year round? The whole.
It can be used any time during
Anytime?
the year, just like theirs.
Yeah, I think they're open through Labor Day.
Repeat what you said, how much? 3,000.
Up to.
Up to.
So that would be 300 tickets total at $12 each.
But that's just for North Franklin.
That's just for North Franklin, yeah.
I say the Trinity's program for any resident.
Theirs is
any
$26,
township.
ours is going to be $12 for our residents. There's a lot of kids in a lot of sections of this township who will take advantage
That's a
of
low
that.
pass all day.
Yes, we'll pass all day.
That's how we did this year.
Yes, exactly. You can see how we did. How long will it take for you to get those tickets? And we'll get them on a sign, and we'll get going on it.
Okay, you made a motion.
I second it.
Okay, take a vote on it, please.
Mr. Junko?
Yes.
Why don't we have something
Yes.
local? People
Yes.
come together
Okay.
locally. And meet
Down
the
there.
neighbors,
Please, Chief.
community. Give that money towards that.
Can everybody hear me, or do I need the mic?
We can hear
We
you.
good? Okay.
Sir, yes, sir.
What's that?
Nothing.
Okay. Short and sweet, going over what we had for what we did in April. Total calls for service were 155. Total miles patrolled were 3,044. Reports requested, we had 6. Total hours of police overtime were 73. Regular overtime was 21. We had 12 hours in court overtime, and special details, 41 hours. The total cost, I don't have them quite in my head. I'd have to have an auditor figure it out now. But, so the aggressive driving enforcement continued through the month of April, and that did finish up on April 29th. It went real well. We had a good enforcement effort. We did conduct ALICE training for Washington Crown Center Mall, as we talked about last month. I think that went well also, but we'll wait till the reviews come in on that. It's got some positive feedback. We also did a yearly commitment that we do every year is with the middle school for their concert experience. We participated again. Kids seemed like they had a good time. I know I did. And as requested last month by the board, we have started research on the pregnancy policy.
Yeah.
We got some documentation, and when we get it all together, we'll bring it over. But we are moving forward on that. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fire Chief.